Dad was a consummate farmer. Whenever he traveled, he would stop, crawl the fence, and pick up a handful of plowed dirt and smell it, look up with a faraway look in his eye. The land was important to him, and he taught us to appreciate it, use it, and make it better. I made a decision about mid-career that I would settle in the area I grew up in. I came back in 2010. You could see the growth starting to take place. Subdivisions would pop up in 3 to 4 months on roads that were wide open pastures or fields when we were kids.
My wife and I have always dreamed of living in the Texas Hill Country. There's so much that it has to offer. These homes represent the greatest storage of value that most of us that live up here have. And meanwhile, we're getting surrounded by these earth-eating monsters. We knew that the Texas Hill Country was rich with natural resources and that ground was being mined. We had no idea the extent of it, and we had no way to predict the future. These rocks that they have going up those bands, and it drops into the crusher and it just crushes them, and that's how they make the aggregate for the roads.
A lot of people move out here because the peace and quiet of being out away from the city.
The trees and vegetation are incredible. There's several tiers of lakes.
I like the culture, the neighbors, rugged, hard-headed individuals who do not take no or failure for an answer.
If you live out here and you're living daily with the sound and the noise and the dust and the blasting, it takes on a sense of urgency.
Nobody wants to live next to the fire station, but everybody wants the fire engine to come if their house is on fire. The strip of rock is where it is, and so that's why the quarries are located here. You have to make these decisions about where those locations are. And the reason there's been so much growth in the rock business in Central Texas is because there's an enormous demand for new building material. Your house, apartment, even a skyscraper is all sitting on a concrete or rock foundation of some kind. You typically then walk out your front door on a sidewalk, step into the driveway, hop into your car. You then drive your portion of the street to wherever you're going to get to. That's on pavement. If you're going to continue to grow, you have to have these materials. It is a conflict.
The very first time I heard them blast across the street at Vulcan, we thought that a tree fell on our house. My 4-year-old, when it happens, she drops whatever she's doing and screams and crawls into my lap. Last year, we found out that a New York-based aggregate company wanted to build a rock crushing company right next to our subdivision. My children spend 90% of their time in our yard, and that's part of the reason we moved out here and on acreage. Unfortunately, it literally backs up to the quarry line.
What about this?
The one in Vulcan is pretty far away. Can you imagine with it being 500 yards from my house, like what that could do?
What worries me is, where is this expansion going to stop? Because we live up here too. Are the quarries, and is the state requiring the quarries to be good neighbors? Has there been any studies whatsoever to determine the cumulative effect of all of these mining operations that's going on around us and how that's affecting our air quality, how that's affecting our water quality? As they keep expanding and getting closer and closer and closer to us, they're stealing our dreams from us.
I don't think anybody goes and picks as their next door neighbor for their property a rock quarry. There's a perception that we have of being dusty, dirty, and noisy. Those things are true. Some of the debates we've heard lately are like, well, we don't want a rock quarry here, but we're going to put a subdivision here. So it's still getting used. We're just in this time where we are growing so fast, it's changing quickly. And so there's a race to get these new properties built, and everybody's trying to decide what's going to happen first. It's a battle over resources more than anything else.
I worry daily on basically our house just plummeting in value. And I mean, I don't want to uproot our kids and move. I like it here. Other than what's going on behind our house, it's a great place to live.
I'm committed to the hill country. I like living here. I've spent years building the home, the barns, my workshops the way I want them. How do I replace that at my age? It's absolutely satisfying to stand there in the morning, watch the sun come up, and look at the orchard that I've built and say, you know, I did something useful here. So I'm not moving. And hopefully, at the end, our kids and our friends, their friends in the future will choose to come here and live here because the hill country will look like the rugged hill country instead of a moonscape.